you fish? No. You know, people who don't fish think that fishing is lazy or boring, but it is the complete opposite. There are 100 little decisions to be made, variables to be considered, and you're never quite sure what made the difference. Did I cast too high, too far to the left? Did I reel it in too slow or too fast? Is the lure too shiny or too dull? Do I stay here or should I go over there? And you know it's not luck, but you do not know by how much. Because I am never disappointed out here, because I don't expect anything, because anything is possible. I can be hopeful out here, even in failure. Because I know if I just go out there around that tree, it might be different. Something might be different. Something I do might make a difference.
A sniper's dream, 100 nights of memory. He has me forehead, and after head goes race vertical. No matter who he races, he's gonna have a head start. Frontal glow. Remembers what happened to Mom. His father stands on the second floor. Why can you still see his forehead with the comments open? Show him his eyes. He got a lot on his mind. He's been told to hold that thought all his life. No sweat tries before it reaches his eyes. He needs brains. Those imaginations in 4K Ultra HD. If you do an inch on his forehead, Bobby will survive. His forehead says 6'5", but his eyes say 5'9". The most epic heroic song of all time. Bro's forehead has a national anthem. Bro knew this would happen.
Hell yeah! Angler's choice, baby! Johnny Morris! White River! Ranger! Triton! Nitro! Let's go, baby! Woo!
What the hell is even that?
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your host, Thomas Ahrens. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked up, I don't know what will.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Monday Night Live. Here we are, February 10th, after a disappointing Super Bowl, but a fantastic time at the Augusta County Show and Expo. Great time. Huge shout out to Doug. Thank you so much for putting on a wonderful event. And finally, I have a weekend that's kind of off, I guess, where I'm not going to be driving out of town to go to some kind of show. But it's been an absolute fun stretch. This is the most, excuse me. It's the most shows I've done in a really long time, like ever in my life. And huge shout out to my lovely wife who put up with all this crap. Her expo season is done. I still have, I think, like 2 or 3 more on the burner that I have to do. And then, yeah, we can actually look forward to this fishing season. Hopefully I can get my boat fixed and get my kayak fixed, and we'll be going good, and my truck fixed, and it'll be good to go. So, but I am all sunshine and lollipops here. This is good to be getting back to kind of our roots again. I haven't done a call-in show in a while. For you old school people that have been here forever, you know the drill. 667-307-8583 is the hotline. You can call in and we'll get this bad boy going today. Just had some things on my mind. We're kind of getting going here. In 2 weeks, we have the first Bassmaster Elite Series event on the St. Johns River. Had a fantastic episode that dropped today with the Mighty River Recovery Program down there that talks about everything going on the St. Johns, just about grass and spraying. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with our area, but everything he talks about is applicable to our area, if that makes sense. They're fighting the good fight to try to basically fight back against all the spraying, the herbicidal treatments that are done down there, and people's viewpoint on vegetation and SAV. The St. Johns used to be an absolutely amazing fishery, and now it's not as much of one. So we're going to have that starting up here. Of course, Pickwick Lake had a massive event. Dirty 30s dropping left and right. The BPT's in full swing. Fishing season is starting to really gain up steam. But in our area, it is kind of quiet. And I think it's weird. It's very much, it's where you live, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's like the pros could be fishing somewhere in Mexico, Texas, or South Florida. But when you're iced out, it just, you don't feel the spring. You don't feel like it's fishing season. And I feel that around our area too. When you're going to the expos, just the everyman, the common man, we're not there yet. We can see it on the TV and we can hear people like myself meander and talk about the people that can fish. But in a couple of weeks, I think, after we get through this last snow, the worst snow of our lifetime, we're going to be able to get out there on the water. I'm really thinking like late February, early March. Once we get that first couple 50-degree days, I think things are going to start going ballistic around here in Virginia and Maryland and North Carolina for that matter too. But with that said, I mean, we had a couple of fantastic monster bags caught this weekend. And again, close to 30 pounds was on Lake Anna. There was a 10-pounder caught in the Cat series on the James River, which was insane. I believe Chaz was a part of that tournament. I don't think he won it. I believe he came in second place or third place, but a mega bag 10-pounder allegedly caught from the James River. Chickahominy, there was another great event that went out of there. I think McCluskey did well in that one too, finishing in the top 5. So down south, the fishing's starting to catch on, guys. It's starting to look like a really, really good year for bass fishing. The thing I wanted to talk about too is just kind of kayak fishing in general. When I do these shows, I like to kind of just not have a guest necessarily that would have to be a pin to my opinions, let's just say. Sometimes you get some people on that are spicy and are okay with this kind of topic. It's just interesting because, Bassmaster, and I'm really going to focus on them. We can talk about KBF and all the other organizations, lovely organizations that are out there right now. I'm assuming that we could say with the fall of Hobie, is it not fair to say that Bassmaster has kind of taken the lead on what's going on with the world of kayak fishing? Sorry, I was trying to read a chat while this is going on. Do you participate in kayak fishing tournaments? I do. I fish NVKBA right now, and I fish some local stuff out of my bass boat. Right now I fish kayak tournaments and I fish bass boat tournaments. I got both. The boat's paid off, so it's nothing fancy. I'm not sponsored by anyone when it comes to kayak or boats. I'm running a Wilderness 135 right now. It's kind of beat to hell, and it's got a little Torpedo on it that I bought from a guy behind a restaurant. It works. I will tell you right now, Torpedo, if you had to pick between live scope and a Torpedo or like a motor, if you're fishing smallmouth rivers, it's the motor, man. I mean, I get it. If all you're fishing is lakes, live scope, of course, great idea. If you really want to get your little cardio in and, make your heart explode, and you're going to have some amazing cads if you're paddling or pedaling, go with scope. But if you're fishing smallmouth rivers like I'm at, a Torpedo, man, you cannot beat it. It's really, really awesome. We got Paul Bladders in the chat. Paul, what up, man? Yeah, this is like one of them just kind of old school, just call-in radio shows that I really love to do. And we're just going to be talking about the industry and some things. The first thing up is just looking at the kayak schedule and and what this means to the world of kayak fishing and where I think everything's going. When you're and again, phone number, if you guys ever want to chime in, and I'll throw that back up in the chat, it is 667-307-8583. So Bassmaster just came out with their college schedule. So this was I think this is a big deal that is not getting enough press coverage, which is college kayak fishing. Bassmaster has really thrown so much money at it in recent years when it comes to the kids, when it comes to high school fishing, boat tournaments, of course, and then college. I mean, you can see the jersey on the wall, and yes, that's the old FLW logo. That's what I used to do way back when. Now I'm dating myself and my gray hairs, the 3 I got when FLW was a thing. But college fishing, the idea of really getting kids into it. And then there's this big turn into the world of kayak fishing. And I've always just, sometimes I just talk to myself and talk to the steering wheel when I'm alone and I'm just that crazy schizophrenic person. And I'm just talking like, what is their thought process here? Because I always still believe that Bassmaster is the boats. It is the Elite Series. That is their pinnacle. That is their thing. 100%. The Bassmaster Classic is a boat thing, in my opinion. It's the creme de la creme. It's what you want to do if you're in a boat. And I always still believe that, like for Hobie, their champion was the pinnacle for a kayak. And so now Bass is doing this whole thing with kayak. They're pushing the kayaks really hard. And to me, and this is just me just kind of like just letting my mind go aflutter and you guys are just along for the ride. What is their end goal with this? Why? Is it just because they're just seeing a market that they can delve into and let's just start poaching right into the good old kayak world? Hobie's gone, KBF, is trying to figure out what to do. So let's promote college kayak fishing. Now, high school boat tournaments made sense, and college boat tournaments, that makes sense because you're the drug dealer and you're trying to give samples out to your next people that could potentially, buy your product. You want to get them into the boats. You want to get them into that kind of world. But now the biggest, bass boat pusher, one of them, the Bassmasters, is pushing kayaks. Now, part of me thinks that this means that they see this as a legit sport. Of course it is. Kayak fishing is a legit sport. And they really, really, really want to see if they can swallow up a bigger part of the market. Now, are they playing 4D chess that they think that by doing this, they're going to convert more people into fishing that will buy a boat? Because this is the interesting kind of like long-term thing that sometimes I think corporations don't think about the consequences. And a great example of this is when Maryland throws so much money in promotion about killing snakehead. And they tell you that it's the greatest eating fish of all time. It's a great thing to catch on a frog, and it's super awesome, and it's cool, and it'll do your taxes for you. Well, if you promote it that much, for every 2 people that want to kill it, you might create 2 or 3 more that want to protect it. So you almost create your own competition. It's a social experiment, And so if Bass is pushing the kayak, isn't that going to also create more kayak anglers? Because, let's just face it right here. If I am a college-age kid, unless I have extremely good finances, I cannot, unless I already own a boat or I get a sponsorship, I can't get into a bass boat fishing tournament. I just can't. Kayaking is extremely reasonable. You can be a college kid and you can get into kayak fishing a lot easier. And then when you're just out of college, you can keep a kayak at your first job. In Ashburn, in Baltimore, in a duplex, you can have one of those things very, very easily. And so to me, that's interesting is this going to backfire on a little bit? Culturally, is this going to create an issue where you're getting people into a kayak, but it's not going to translate into boat sales? And that's kind of where this long form conversation my brain is having is this going to have the effect of converting to boat sales? Okay, well, door number 1 is yes, 100%. It converts into boat sales. They're brilliant. Okay, but what's door number 2? Door number 2, it doesn't. It doesn't convert into boat sales at all. So they're just going to create more kayak anglers. So is this going to create a bigger kayak market? Possibly. Is this going to hurt the boat guys, which is the elites? Because the elites are their bread and butter. Can they do both? I don't know, because I truly think the more you promote kayaking, it's so much cheaper to get into for most people. And if you start promoting a cheaper alternative, in 5 to 10 years, is the bass boat side of things going to contract? Possibly. What if they're already having these conversations? And this is why Yamaha bought Torqeedo. This is why I think a lot of boat dealers are looking at kayaks. It's cheaper. You guys have seen all these images. I'm going to bring them back up on the screen. These are always a fun thing. I'll get to your chats here in a minute. Pull them up here, make them a little bit bigger on my old extra screen. This is the Bonafide XL, I believe it is. And this here is the light skiff. Okay. This is a tiny boat classification, light skiff. It is the exact same size as the Bonafide, and it is the exact same width. You can look it up. The one on the right is called the light skiff. It is built for a 6-horse Mercury outboard and a trolling motor. The other one is a Bonafide kayak. They're starting to look like more tiny boats. If you do a quick search, you will realize that the most expensive type of boat that could possibly be made right now is a fiberglass boat, and it has really bad margins. The second worst to make is a aluminum boat. I talked to Mr. Lancaster, who runs Mare Marine, talked about like when there was a shortage of aluminum, those boats just stopped being made. But plastic boats, dude, great margins, fantastic margins in these, especially if you can sell them for $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. Once you create the mold, you can pump these bitches out like nothing. And so what if the idea here is they're trying to promote kayak fishing because they actually see that that's the future? Because if you start promoting catch, photo, measure, release tournaments to that whole generation, just like with the snakehead thing, you're going to create even more people that prefer that format. You're creating more people that are fine with fishing a kayak. And so it's just interesting to me to see that kind of cultural thing when Bass really starts pushing this more. Are they truly trying to be a kayak organization? Or are they looking at this as, hey, we're going to use these kayak people to help fund the elites? It's fascinating for me to get inside their heads of what they're trying to get out of it. Because personally, the more they promote kayak fishing, the more I think that you're going to create kayak anglers, the more culturally acceptable catch, photo, measure, catch, photo, weigh at release will become, which is going to hurt weigh-in tournaments culturally in a generation. Just like our kids and our grandkids are kind of going to be used to video games, computers, and forward-facing sonar, they might grow up doing this more. And so if Bass is also big into weigh-ins, is it interesting that they're doing the kayak thing and promoting that at the college level? I don't know. It's just fun conversations that I always wanted to have. And now, instead of just having them with myself like a schizophrenic, I'm having it with all you guys. I'll get to some of these questions right here too. It's just interesting to me. Like, okay, the Bass Boat Tournament Trail is getting into kayaking hard. And I think it's one thing to say that you're going to do your cute little kayak trail. It's another when you start hitting the kids, because this is what any legit organization does, is you start going after the kids because you want to get them into your program. Football does it, baseball, Bassmaster, FLW in the day, MLF does it. You target the kids, you get them into your net. But now you're promoting a completely different sport inside of it. So I don't know. It's interesting, but I want to get to some of these things here while I keep talking. Again, if you want to call in, the number is 667-307-8583. And I did have somebody just texting me here. All right, whoops, sorry. Had to turn off my ringer because I was getting a ringer in the ear. We got Tom Fiddler here. I have a solo skiff with a jet drive. Yeah, the solo skiff, which is the one that's actually, let me drop this here. The solo skiff is the one on the right. It's actually called solo skiff, or it's called light skiff. My apology. And I love, like, when you type in light skiff, the first thing that comes up is a bona fide XTR 103. Again, I put this boat in there because it's great for thumbnails, but let's be absolutely real. I would love to buy one if I could fish a kayak tournament. And do you know why I would love to fish with one? If I have to fish a forward-facing sonar kayak tournament with good money on the line, that thing looks roomy as shit, and I'd love to put my big 12-inch graph on there so I could scope on the Res, Sleeter's Lake, some of these places we have these big money tournaments. Heck, I would like one. I still want a river one. That's, probably like a innovative sportsman, a floating one, something like that. But okay, this is the light skiff. It is $3,400. All these compartments open up, and it is set up for a 6 horsepower motor. And let me get to additional information. I just want to show this to you guys here while we're there, because I know you guys are going to want to know about this. The boat. There it is. See, 170 pounds, 175 pounds. Absolutely insane how light that bad boy is for a skiff. Really, really, really cool little boat there. We got, you mentioned you have a couple more expos you'll be attending. Which ones are those? So I am attending Jake's Bait and Tackle. It is, and I should know this since they're one of my big time sponsors. Pull it up here for you guys. March 8th, I will be at the Jake's Bait and Tackle Kayak Show and Expo. There will be multiple divisions where you can show off your pimped off kayak to win prizes and so much more. That is Saturday, March 8th at Jake's Bait and Tackle in Winchester, Virginia. The 22nd, I wasn't able to go fishing with Paul at Lake Anna because I'm going to be at ProTech. Fishing ProTech for their open house. They were one of the original bait shops in the United States to carry Japanese lures. They had the bigwigs from Megabass and a lot of other companies fly in to see him. He is a wealth of knowledge. He's close to 70 years old, and Lynn is he is a historian when it comes to Japanese baits. I mean, I'm shocked that he doesn't speak Japanese. He's a really, really cool dude. Paul Blatters, Kayak Classic pushes people to the Classic Expo. Yeah, and that could be it. The Kayak Classic could be just pushing it to the expo, which again, that's what I'm saying. Like kayak fishing possibly is just to push people to the boat side. And I really think the Kayak Classic Expo is the boat side of things. Paul, again, I'm guessing they see a market they can capitalize on. They have to buy membership to fish tournaments, and that's money's right there in their pockets every year. Yeah, and I wonder if that will backfire on them. In the sense that if you think their mindset is boating, the boat is their strategy, and this is just something they can capitalize on, great. But the other issue is you might create fans. You will create fans of just kayaking. That's for every percentage of people that you get into boats, you're going to get into kayak fishing. So to me, that's just very interesting to see what kind of effect that's going to have. We got Paul again. The economy is crap too, so probably think there will be a huge surge in kayak fishing. Yeah, and again, like Mid-Atlantic Kayak Organization, they guarantee like $3,000 on a $40 entry fee or something like that. I know I'm completely wrong in those numbers, and I'm spitballing like Joe Biden, but insane rate of return. NVKBA, over $1,000 to the winners for events, and these are local, and they're rivers, they're small rivers, they're small lakes, so you can stay local and fish. So that to me is interesting. And this is the other thing about the kayak thing too, as we get through the chats here. Again, if you guys want to just call in and just bitch and tell me I'm full of shit, you can, or you agree with me. 667-307-8583. The kayaking does offer some interesting things from a college perspective. Name a college in Virginia that's not near a major body of water, like a lake, but it's near a smallmouth river. Harrisonburg. You look at JMU, is near the Shenandoah River. How many colleges are near the Susquehanna River? How many colleges are near the James River? You could have a kayak college club, and you could have a good little club of river rats. And that to me is what was interesting about this scheduling here. Is the schedule is for the kids is the Kissimmee Chain of Lakes, Dale Hollow, and Toledo Bend Reservoir, which is something that I have always hated about this kayak thing, personally speaking, is when you try to go to all the places that the boats go. The Kissimmee Chain, I get it. I mean, poor Kissimmee Chain has been beaten like a $20 hooker, for the past month. We already had a kayak event. We had a boat event. We're going to have the kids on it. You're going to have Toledo Bend on the schedule. That is one of the biggest reservoirs in the world. That to me is just boring for kayak fishing. I get it. It's fine. It's not like my must watch. I like it when they go to the Susquehanna River. I like it when they go to little cool places, because you're like leaning into the thing that I think you can market about a kayak is you can get into some sneaky places. And if you're just going to promote the same bodies of water, I get it. They pay you. You got to do what you got to do. It's just kind of boring to me. We got Douglas again in the chat here. They know they are both here to stay. Get on board or get left behind. They know they are both here to stay. Get on board or get left behind. Yeah, Douglas, are you talking about Bassmaster itself? Yeah. No, it's yeah. No, it's interesting. Douglas again, having seen the ASA market studies of 2023, 2024, trust me, they have their fingers on the pulse of the market. Yeah, and I mean, trust me that, do I trust corporate America? God, no, because that's like saying, do you trust Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson? They have no, because they're human beings. If anyone's working corporate jobs, like, trust me, they know exactly what they're doing. Name one corporation that actually knows exactly what they're doing. I work for the VA. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. I really hope no one from the VA is listening right now. And it's not like, trust me, these people are just the smartest human beings on earth. It's bureaucracy and politics. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt there, but I generally think corporate, the super higher ups, they just, bang the secretary, do some blow, and they hope for the best. Or I'm just talking, that might just be MLF. I don't know. But yeah, I don't. If they have their thumb on the pulse so well, why is it some of these decisions seem like they did a line of cocaine and then the last minute they had a monkey punch on a typewriter and then just send this thing out there? Let's see what they do. Is that them playing 4D chess or them just being reactive versus reactive versus proactive? I don't know. Those are my thoughts there with that. We got might be looking at it as another feeder system for the opens too, like as Christine. Now, that's Paul. That's a great idea. Christine is one of those cool examples of she is a hell of a stick and she's a pure kayak angler, and she's making the jump to the boats. Are we going to see a lot of those? It's interesting, but then she also had the sponsorship and all the money thrown at her, so she could do that too. First off and foremost, she's a hell of an angler. Great stick, great stick, and. Is that something we're going to see more as kayak anglers jumping over? And I think the reason they're doing that is the money right now is better. If the economy keeps going the way it goes, I just don't think the boating industry is going to be the thing. We got Roy. The Wilderness Systems Tactical Pro 128 is an XTR 130 Challenger. Yes, it is. Yes. I'll bring that one up, Roy. That's a really good one to bring up. And Ike and Ellie is now sponsored by them. Because, as long as they'll pay him, Ike and Ellie will sponsor it. He will sponsor Diddy Lotion if you pay him enough. Let's see. We got Lance Gray. I noticed at the boat tournaments, there is always a lot of nice size dead fish. Yeah, and that's something too. That's a whole other show we could do on. It was about dead fish because there was another Texas Department survey about crappie going in there about how many crappie are in the body of water. And that's the thing is, I do not want to see dead fish. I do not. I also hate the idea of making laws because it's a slippery slope when it comes to government, whether it's Maryland, Virginia, or whatever, because you throw a law on there, it's going to be vague as shit so they can manipulate it, and it's hard to get it revoked. So I don't want to throw a law on the books to try to change events necessarily. That's like break glass in case of emergencies. It's do the best you can. Please be smart as a tournament director so you don't have Big Daddy coming down on you, because when they do that, you end up like Pennsylvania where they shut fishing down for half the year. When it comes to dead fish, how many fish of 4 pounds are in the fishery? If you kill 100 nice sized bass a year, these are random numbers that are low. That's terrible. If the population size of 4 pounders on the body of water is 10 billion and you killed 100, I mean, that's a drop in the bucket and we shouldn't worry about it. If we are killing half the population each year, that's terrible. But the thing that no DWR agency can give you is the exact numbers, or at least a ballpark number of the population of fish of that size. And if it is bad as the scare tactic numbers like the Coosa River did, there wouldn't be any fish left of that size necessarily. So I don't know. I just think the numbers are off because it is a forecasted guess. And the farther you forecast out, the more error there are in return. There is no L in my last name. Well, I forgot you spoke Japanese. Konnichiwa. Look up solo skiff. I just did. Oh, wait. Did I not look that up? Well, I got a couple of kayaks I got to look up. I got so many chats right now. Good God. But yeah, let me pull that up there. Look at you guys. One thing I love about you guys is you really guys like it when I do these intimate streams. All right, solo skiff. Let's go with that solo skiff. Dude, you're riding in that thing? Tom, you are not young enough to be riding in this thing, dude. Holy Christ. You hit a rock in this bitch, you're dead. It's a cool ass boat though for the flats. Let me type in hold on. We had Roy that typed in Ike's new insane kayak. It's called the Ike Wilderness Systems Tactical Pro 128. All right, let's look at this gnarly bitch. That is an ugly ass color. I need a better picture of this thing. 12, that's insane. How much does this weigh? 158 pounds. 158 pounds. That weighed like 170 pounds. That's not bad. That's a terrible photo. Let's just find a better photo of this bad boy. Let's find a better photo of this bad boy. There's really no good photo of this bitch. I know Ike did. Actually, you know what? Ike probably has one on his thing. I'll find that. I tell you what, Roy, yeah, you have my number, Roy, so just text it to me. Text me a good picture of this thing, and I'll put it up there. We got... Yep, James River, John Price. That's a good one. Kayak anglers are the largest growing area in the fishing industry right now. As far as style of fishing, I think the industry is a whole is recognized this and is acting accordingly to get their slice of the pie. Yeah, I agree. Douglas, I 100% agree. Again, a quick Google search will tell you that the most affordable business model is plastic boats. That's what a kayak is and is becoming is a plastic boat. Again, why did Yamaha, that owns Skeeter and Yamaha Motors, buy Torqeedo? It could be because they're going green initiative, but I also think Japanese people, man, they are savvy business people. They see where the market is going. They're seeing this going green initiative. They're seeing where this goes. And I think they're pushing it to where in 5 years, it's not going to be a kayak. It's going to be a tiny plastic boat. And then I think the biggest separation of a kayak tournament will be motor restriction. I think truly that's what, because it's no longer something that you can paddle effectively. Could you see a 65-year-old in a PA 14? I mean, that's a heart attack waiting to happen to be able to paddle that bitch, unless you're like built like a brick shit house. You can't paddle that thing. It's just a tiny plastic boat. Okay, cool. So now if we define it and I pay Bass or KBF or whatever organization, like, pass this light skiff as a boat, please. Well, guess what? Now, why don't we make it 14 feet, 15 feet? Why don't we make it as big as we want? Because if you have a molded plastic boat as a model that people accept, that shit you can crank out so easily and make so much money on as a business. Your margins would be so much better. I don't know. And I could just be, and again, everyone, y'all know it, that I am just a cynical son of a bitch deep down. And I get these pessimistic streaks in me. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. But I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I pray that I'm wrong with this. But we'll see. Lance Gray, Upper James is good. Upper James is fantastic. I really want to fish that. I really do. Any kayak tournaments in VA where you can't use a motor? Not yet. I would also say there's somebody in the chat, Roy right here runs a kayak magazine, kayak podcast. You can go check him out, USA KFM. He runs that, but not to my knowledge, there's a specific one that's massive. If you are running a river series though, so let me answer your question this way. If you are fishing a kayak series that is of the Susquehanna River, Shenandoah, Smalley Chasers is another one. I mean, there's so many tournaments that you can run. My tournaments that I run, you don't necessarily need a motor for the float trips. It is nice. It is amazing, but you don't necessarily need it. But if you're going to be on a lake trying to scope or whatever, yeah, that's something that's really, really, really nice to have. You got James Cole. James Coleman's in the house. James, your episode's going to be dropping here soon, bud. I didn't forget about you. Kayak tournaments give you a way bigger bang for your buck, and you can fish more than one tournament at a time. That is the shit about kayak tournaments and online tournaments. I'm trying to push Paul that way too. Is you can sign up for a month-long tournament, be in a BFL, and win extra money. You can double dip. And that is, I'll never forget that. I think Urine Minor won like $1 billion on the Susquehanna because he signed up for 3 tournaments and ended up winning them all. I mean, that you can double dip, which is what you got to do. Okay, Justin. Yeah, well, Anyway, I think the line, all right. I'm going to do this, guys. All right. I just opened up the call line. First person to call in wins a gift card to Jake's Bait and Tackle. Again, the number is 667-307-8583. I just opened up the phone line, so that is available. First person to call in will win a gift card to Jake's Bait and Tackle. Also, you placing Chesden as a C on their tier list is categorized as dog shit. Seth, I mean, come on. Yeah. Dude, yeah, that show. When I did that show, I didn't realize that it's going to be a long show, which is fine. I will do, y'all know me. I'll have a piss jug here because I'm in a standing desk. You won't see it. And I'll sit here for 8 hours. The tier list show needed to be 8 hours, and I needed to have guests on at situational times to talk about the Norfolk Lakes, to talk about Baltimore, the Upper Bay, get the Bass and Beer guys on to talk about Maryland, get some people on to talk about this part of Virginia. We could really rank it. This is the one thing I realized, though, which is I think is cool about our area. There is not a lot of dog shit fisheries, which I'm shocked about. I mean, I think unanimously the whole world decided that Clear Lake was complete dog shit. Besides maybe that and a couple, there wasn't a lot of fishery that were just downright awful, which blew my mind that there's a lot of like mid-range fisheries. And as we made the list, Lake Anna's stock just kept going up through the freaking roof, man. That was insane. That was the coolest thing too, is to watch Lake Anna do what it's doing right now. As far as bass, I have the kayak tournaments will only be as big as the sponsors. The question is, do sponsors hurt the tournament boat world based on the economy? Yeah, and that's an interesting question because here's the thing. It doesn't take as much money to be successful in kayak fishing because your margins are better. So you're not spending $1,000 on petrol or $2,000 on petrol. You're not trailering a boat. And because of that, you can win $5,000 to $6,000 in a tournament or something like that. Let's just say, I'm just, again, throwing these numbers out here. I know I'm pulling a Joe Biden on you guys. And you can have success and you can be a very successful fisherman. It's hard to do that in a bass boat and trailering. And that's the one thing I brought up. Like, there were a bunch of people that went down to Florida for the Kissimmee Chain event for kayaking. All of you could have a kayak. You could throw it on these fancy kayak trailers that could carry like 6 kayaks and just take one vehicle and drive down there together and save a shit ton of money on petrol. You can't do that in a boat. Everyone has to trailer their own boat down there. Pretty much. That's how it works. So it is more cost effective in a lot of ways. Again, when Hobie was doing it, and I get it, people have told me, it's like, but Hobie folded because it wasn't successful. That's a whole other conversation. The fact is, Hobie had the best bang for your buck. They were more effective financially for you than a BFL, and you got to fish 2 days. Yeah, Paul, minimal bass loss, not zero. Absolutely, that's the triggering word for me, is absolute zero. Absolute zero. When people say that, what they mean is they don't want you to fish anymore. And we don't want those people in our lives. We got Everett. Everett says, I still don't get the opposition to catch, photo, and release. So I have a caller on the line right now, and I'm going to get to him in a minute. I'll tell the story. So I am trying to get the Chesapeake Bay Reel Masters. Sorry, long names bother this poor little brain. NVKBA. I haven't talked to you, Mike, yet about this, so surprise. And Mid-Atlantic about the Maryland Black Bass Foundation is trying to do a charity event to raise money to stock bass in Maryland. And they couldn't agree on doing a fishing tournament in 2025 because putting a weigh-in tournament is hard. It takes a lot of work, and they couldn't figure a date to host a charity event to raise money for Maryland. So they said, maybe we'll do it in 2026, 2027, but it's just too hard to do. And I said, well, I could put on an online tournament, kayak, bank, whatever, and it's really easy. It was literally like talking. Now, mind you, everyone except me and one other guy are under 40, and everyone else probably fought in World War II. A lot of people are up there in age. You can carbon date them, let's say. And when I told them that you can take a smartphone and fish a tournament, they looked at me like I just showed them fire for the first time. It's a technology thing. These are the same people that are upset about LiveScope. They don't have a computer. They still talk to you with a Yahoo email address. It's a nightmare. And that's why that there are people against it. So now that I've just shit on half of my audience for the age, let me get to my caller here. All right. And hopefully, all right. You are on 443-876-7369. You're on the show. What's up?
Oh, hold on.
You are on 443.
Let me mute real quick.
369. You're on the show. What's up?
Oh, hold on. Let me mute real quick.
All right.
All right.
You there?
What's up, Tom?
Hey, boss.
Yeah. What's going on?
Ah, man, I'm living the dream. How about yourself?
Oh, not too bad. So that's funny that you just mentioned. I'm assuming you know who this is.
Yeah, I know who this is.
At least recognize my voice. It's funny that you brought up that they just said it's too hard to run a weigh-in tournament. which I love your idea, by the way. Like, that just makes it so easy. But I mean, I run 2 fundraising tournaments a year. It's not hard. It takes 4 to 5 people max. Yeah, and it's not hard. That just blows my mind.
Yeah, and it's all the people. I mean, the people I'm talking about that are on the board that kind of poo-pooed it. It got pushed through, but to me, what was shocking is they said this in front of DWR guys, bigwigs, and it's like you just kind of proved to them that catch, measure, release is the shit, because they are the ones that perked up about it more so than the fishing guides. And it's like you just kind of signed your own death warrant there, because you're showing them logistically there's some ease there. Again, I don't want it to go away, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting that there are people that just don't understand it. And that's kind of like the question that was in chat about, like, why is it people don't understand it? It's the technology thing is the only thing I can think of. These are the people that hate forward-facing sonar and don't have a smartphone.
I don't think it's just that. I do think and I do think there is some sort of a technology barrier that applies to it, and is one of the reasons that it hasn't taken off. But I think the other part that comes to this is nobody trusts anybody when it comes to money.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And there's I think there's a bit of a disconnect in how advanced some of the software is, and to help prevent cheating. And you've actually opened my eyes to a little bit of that. And they mostly think that well, hey, if we have it's a lot harder for someone to cheat if we have a live weigh-in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it makes sense, that mindset. It does.
And there's the other part of it too. Like, I know why, like, a lot of people, especially in like clubs, it's a camaraderie thing. You have your weigh-in. You get to show your fish to your friends. It's a little bit of an ego thing. I'm not gonna lie. It's an ego thing. You want to show you want to show that 6-pounder you caught off to all your buddies that you fish with every weekend. And like, I get it. That's perfectly acceptable. I love doing that. It's fun. But I also have kind of I've more so come around to the online tournament scene too. So
what changed your mind?
There's good points to both sides.
What I don't want to say breakthrough. That sounds like it's therapy. But what was the biggest change or turn a coat when it came to the online stuff?
A lot of it was talking with you and a couple of my friends that fish bigger kayak tournaments, and learning that, hey, the software that is used for these weigh-ins has become a lot more advanced than it was when it first came out. So the potential for cheating has decreased exponentially. And that was always my biggest thing away from it is I don't trust anyone, especially when it comes to money. And whenever money is involved, it always brings out the worst in people.
Yes.
And if there's a way to cheat, somebody's going to cheat, whether it be a catch photo release tournament or it be a live weigh-in tournament. It's just logistically, it's a lot harder to do when you're fishing around 100 other boats.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And I guess the counter argument will be like, cheating happens. I mean, that's the argument you're going to hear online. Cheating happens every day. There's a new boating cheating thing. The thing that's fascinating to me is, like, it's a technology thing. When the online stuff is so technology focused, and because technology changes so exponentially with AI, Palantir, and things like that, you're correct. I think now it's better, but it's not great. But what about in 2 years, 3 years? It's not going to take long for this exponential growth. And this gets me back to my initial thing where, okay, Bass, I see what you're doing. And if it's just as cold and logical as you're just trying to get a slice of the pie, awesome. But the ramification, I think, is you're also going to promote more kayak guys. You're going to make it more common for people to just whip out their phone, take a picture of a fish. Is that going to create, of course, a bigger kayak market? And is that going to hurt the bass boat industry? And that to me is what's fascinating is some of these things are not kayaks, in my opinion. They're basically plastic boats. Is that where we're going to go when Icon is $200,000 to buy a legit, Bassmaster certified boat?
I mean, to be fair, look at the prices of boats coming down. The prices of boats are going to fluctuate with the economy. The new Icon that came out to 80-ish. So
a sale.
I mean, my boat was 70. So I can't really say anything about it. But I think I have a couple of ideas, and again, just spitballing ideas, back and forth, right? So one of them is this an idea for a new type of feeder system where you can get into the kayaks and you can get a little bit of prestige and make a little bit of money, but then you have that carrot in front of you of the Elite Series. Oh, well, I can make the Elite Series and be a millionaire, which everybody knows that you're not going to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Unless you're a generational talent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing that I think of is it's more ways for them to get someone into bass fishing, to get them interested in tournament fishing, especially for someone who, like you mentioned earlier, may not be able to afford to get into the bass boat realm. The people who can afford to get into the bass boat realm, are they going to? Is it really going to take away from them? Let's just call it like it is. The daddy's money kids.
Sadly, yeah.
That can afford. They in college. They can afford $100,000 boat. And I'm not taking anything away from some of these people as anglers, because some of them are phenomenal anglers, but they also have that support structure to be able to not have a job, fish 9 opens. Well, I guess it's only 8 this year. 8 plus 3, so 11 potentially. Without having a job and be able to fish 300 days a year. Not everybody can do that. So I mentioned it, in a comment earlier. Maybe the kayak scene is a way to build your sponsor relationships and be able to slowly work your way into making that jump. Kind of like what we said with Christine Fisher. She showed that she's a hammer. She has the social media following. She has the sponsor backup, and she was able to jump in and try her hand at the Opens this year. So is that where they're going with it? Where it's like a way for people to work into that professional angler field, which is
interesting,
good and bad, right?
Yeah, because it's like, if that is Bass's opinion, I see it. But is that the identity that kayak anglers want? And that to me is what's going to be fascinating as this develops, is do kayak anglers want to be seen as, because again, culturally, everyone wants to have their own identity. Like, oh, our goal as kayak anglers is to what? Become a boat angler? Or they're going to be kayak anglers like, no, we're just our own thing. And that to me is like, I don't know. I don't have an answer to it. That time will tell. I know people really were frustrated with Hobie leaving because they felt like the Hobie Championship was the kayak Bassmaster Classic, quote unquote, because it was pure. It was their tournament. And now it's like, this is connected with bass, and there is a population of kayak anglers like, well, yeah, but that's the classic is your thing. And it's kind of weird that it's like we get our own little classic, but it's not technically the classic. Kayak anglers know that it's not the classic. That's a cute little sideshow compared to the big boys.
It's the Bass Nation Championship for kayaks.
Yeah. And
I mean, that's the ways that you qualify for it. It's the Bass Nation Championship for kayak championship. Bass Nation Kayak Championship, not the Kayak Bassmaster Classic like it's advertised. It's essentially the same qualification route as the Bass Nation Championship. you can qualify through your state, or you can qualify by going to going to these qualification tournaments, these regional type tournaments. Now, I know the qualification standard is a little bit different. It's not just like a one and done. Like, I can't just go fish one and qualify, but it's the setup is kind of the same.
It is.
It's I don't know. It's kind of it's all about money, and you and I both know that.
Yeah, and John has a great point here. I want
to trying to figure out how they're
bring up is kayak tournament organizations are starting to lean towards competitors to video record with a GoPro during tournaments to aid in keeping folks from cheating. I have been saying this for years. If I ran a boat tournament, let's say a solo event, I would tell people if $10,000 of the prize are up, you have to have a camera going. And if it doesn't work for some reason, great, you get deducted points, because I'm covering my ass when it comes to cheating. It's just, if you can afford a $70,000 bass boat, it's like, I'm sorry, the dash cam doesn't work. That's suspicious. Like, it's such a no-brainer to start enforcing that.
Yeah, and that's tough. I mean, because things happen, right? Like, it's not like I agree and disagree, because you can have issues. You can have camera. My GoPro stopped working, brand new, and it will just randomly stop recording. And if if you're fishing, like, how long before you notice that your GoPro is not running? I mean, that happens. That's happened to me quite a few times, where I just I didn't know it stopped recording. And
but it'd be the same thing.
Better technology, maybe not a GoPro, but
GoPros first off suck.
I agree. I do agree, though.
Yeah, bad analogy with the GoPro, but it's the same thing with Starlink becoming better. And again, when you said it before, it's like when money is on the line, we need a reliable dash cam or something if we're going to have more. Because again, my counter has always been with the boats going to more solo format, which is fine. I think it's cool. Okay, but now you're alone. Is cheating a thing? Potentially, but is that the same thing in the team event? Because, I mean, teams cheat all the time, but when will we get a camera or something in these boats so that way you do have not just a polygraph, which is suspect, but we can look at the film? This is one of the few sports where you don't have that. And I feel like if we could crack that code, it would help with liability so much, just to have that rolling in the background.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I do. I totally agree with that. I just like the technology. Yeah, how? Like, how do you adapt that technology to be able to do that?
Mm-hmm.
That is, I would love that, right? I mean, that pretty much takes away like any ability of, or 99.9% of the ability to cheat. And obviously there could still be ways. To encryption.
Here's an interesting from a big kayak guy in my chat. They aren't going to do a constant video with a GoPro, but what they will ask you to do is take a pic to submit and then take a short video of the fish being released with your phone time-stamped. Interesting. Huh. God, technology is wild. Jesus Christ. I couldn't imagine this stuff when I was a kid. We're getting to that point. We are living in this dystopian future. God. It's crazy.
The other thing that I don't like about the catchway release is like your cell phone signal, right? You're limited to cell phone signals,
Mm-hmm.
so you can upload. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not super experienced in the online tournaments. I've done a few, but nothing crazy. If I don't have cell service, I can upload my pictures later, right?
Yeah. So how it works with the app is
as long as it's within tournament hours.
Yeah. So if you take a picture, the picture is timestamped, so you can't send a screenshot.
Right.
So that's the.
Okay.
But I agree. I see what you're saying. So yeah. So if what they would do is like if I float the Shenandoah River, I have to make my float an hour shorter because cell service sucks, so I can get the kayak on the truck and get to cell phone service so I can upload all my fish pictures. I need to know about that. That's almost like time. Go ahead.
But all the pictures are going to be timestamped from when you called them and geotagged.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, that answers one of my questions. I was a little, concerned about that just because I didn't know the answer of how they combat that, because it seemed a little, sketchy that, I can upload all these pictures, at the end of the day when I, if is it taking the geotag from the picture or from where you uploaded the picture? If it's where you uploaded the picture, I could go to this farm pond over here that's loaded with 7-pounders, catch them and come back, and that's what I was worried about. Yeah. But that answers my question.
And then that's also an issue because with the tournaments I run, and I know guys, we're getting some callers lined up. Is I had people that were worried fishing my tournaments, like, well, I don't want you to have my GPS coordinates when I fish. And so that's another issue. Is people's like, well, no, dude, you can't fish the tournament unless I have access to that. So I know exactly that you're fishing the right river. So example is I give away for a smallmouth caught in Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia. Well, I need to know what state and what place that came from, just so I know you're not cheating there. It's like, so there's that thing there where some people don't even want to do it because they don't want to give up their spots.
I know. I talked to someone who fished in a kayak tournament, and it was actually it was a snakehead tournament, but the directors of the tournament were using the app to gain access to the spots that the people were fishing, which is totally shady. And I'm pretty sure that they don't run tournaments anymore. But once it was found out, but like, there's always, that's a big thing. Like, we all spend a lot of time on the water. And we put this in, we put this effort and we put our money on, into this, and for, to have, some sketchy tournament director or one of, the tournament directors, if multiple people have access to it, just, snag a bunch of waypoints from where you caught your fish.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty messed up. And like I said, I've seen that happen. Like, I know that has happened.
Yeah, and I agree. And it's bumpy, but we're in the infancy of it. Paul, could you pimp it out? Bass and Beer Radio. What do you guys got coming up? And we'll get to our next callers here.
All right. So February 28th, we have Ardent Reels. We are going to talk to Ardent Reels about the ins and outs of being a rod and reel company. We have a boat manufacturer coming up to be announced that we're going to have on the show. It's going to be something new that I don't think anybody's ever seen before. So that's in the pipeline, and we got a couple bait manufacturers that we're lining up to talk about not just baits, but actually starting a grassroots bait company and making it successful.
Dude, that's awesome. Guys, if you want to figure out...
No spoilers yet, but...
Yeah, no spoilers. Friday nights is when they do all this stuff. Awesome stuff. They have some fantastic guests, boat builds. It's an absolutely amazing show. Go check them out. Paul, thank you so much for calling in and being our first caller. I'll talk to you later, boss.
Yeah, good talking to you, Tom.
See you. All righty, guys. We're going to get to our next caller here. We got so many chats. Don't worry, guys. I will answer all of your chats. Bucktail talking about a video. I submitted what was that one? You said Chad Hoover. Chad says a lot of things. I will have to say, I promise I'm going to get the trophies out to my first tournament winners before Chad probably gets tournaments out for him, because I'm not going to take 6 months like Chad sometimes does. So with those shots fired, I'm now caller. All right, Foot Fetish 32 is now online. What up, boss?
I love how you brought me in. After you just dropped that little gem.
Yeah, win some, lose most.
So, how is everyone?
Everyone's. I think we're going pretty swimmingly, having a fun, non-toxic conversation for a change.
So, I mean, I saw the headline, and I feel like I could possibly weigh in a little bit on this. I heard a little bit of the beginning of it whenever I was on my drive home from work, and I couldn't really call in because I had other things going on.
Yeah.
But, kayak fishing, I don't think is dead, right? I think it was miscategorized for, clickbait purposes by Chad. And Chad is, I mean, if there's one thing that Chad is good at, it is drawing attention to to things, whether it's himself or whether it's a topic. You know, he knows how to get someone's attention. You may not always like his message. You may not agree with him, but he certainly knows how to grab the attention.
Yeah, like a Kardashian's ass. He knows how to grab the headlines.
Exactly. But so I heard earlier you were asking about, you know, the different entities and where they sit. You know, I don't know what the future is for Hobie, and I don't want to speculate.
Yeah.
But arguably, Hobie, the BOS series was probably the truest form of a championship that we had in kayak fishing and competitive kayak fishing. You actually had to do something to earn a chance to get there. You didn't just get handed out participation trophies to make up numbers so you have a decent payout for a so-called championship, which is there's two other organizations that historically have been doing that now. You know, the KBF, I'm pretty sure, is not having any tournaments. I don't know. I've not been made aware of anything. But, you know, you have the Bassmaster, which basically is the only one. They're the only ones right now that
It's weird.
competitively,
It's really
if
weird.
you want to fish out of a kayak on the national stage, the only ones that really have a whole lot of weight are the Bassmaster events. You have a couple other series, events, things that are happening. I really like the way the Native Big Bass Power Hour comes in and does a totally different format.
Mhm.
I think that's a really cool thing that they're doing. In terms of the I don't even know what it's called. It's the one that Drew Gregory's running. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what to call it. To me, I don't know. I don't want to pass judgment on it, but I don't consider it in the same division as what you would consider Bassmaster. Bassmaster is the truest national form of, you know, at this point of what we have. And who knows? Maybe when Hobie will come back. Who knows?
What's your
Not saying
vibe
that
with
they're
bass?
down and out. They might come back.
It's because like when they sandwich it, and again, I am not as much of a kayak person as you are. I will 100% say that, and there are a lot of guys in chat, but it's like it's not your classic, and it's weird that they tack on the Bassmaster Boat Classic and they try to do this kayak version, but it just doesn't. Personally, it feels like it's not the same as when I watched the Hobie class, like the Hobie Championship. It's like I don't know.
I wish that they would have structured themselves similar to the way that Hobie did it, where, you know, maybe you have 5 to 8 season, you know, regular season events, and then you take your top 3 or your top 5 from each event, and then you make up the rest of the top 50 from the points, right? That's the correct way to do it. I feel like having a championship, i.e. the Kayak Classic, having that and then having hundreds and hundreds of people qualify for it, I feel is not even in any way, shape, or form a championship. It's an open. It's a big open.
Yeah.
Because the reality is with roll downs and everything else like that, I just don't see I don't know, man. I don't want to sit here because I got friends that are in the organizations and I got friends of mine that compete in the organizations, and I don't want to discredit what they're doing. But in the same token, like, until you've made it to a Hobie Tournament of Champions, you don't understand what it is, like what the championship is. When you've been to the TOC, that is literally the Bassmaster Classic for kayak fishing. When you make it to the Hobie TOC, that's it.
And that was the point I was trying to bring up, because I have no friends in anything. I can say whatever I want. So that felt like it was your championship. And it's like, what is Bass's intentions here? And that to me is the thing that I keep talking to myself on drive homes at night is it just, they just see this as a way to make more money? Are they trying to be kayak? I don't think their soul is kayak. And so they're doing college now.
So,
what is their 40 chess plan?
Here's what I think is happening. I think it's a money grab, right? Yeah. And initially, you know, Bassmaster before Steve-O took it over, Bassmaster was being ran by people who didn't even kayak fish. Steve-O did the very first tournament down at Logan Martin, and it was It was huge, and he did a great job at it. Had a fantastic turnout, fantastic rollout, and then shortly after that, like people who didn't even kayak fish took it over and started generating schedules and making rules. And it's like, are you people? Do you understand what it is that we do? Because we're not bass boats. So then Steve-O took it over, and it's gotten exponentially better. But I still feel like Bassmasters in this thing to make money more so than they're in it to further advance kayak fishing. I don't think that they care if somebody can be a viable kayak fishing professional. They don't really care about that. I feel like they care about where their pockets are getting a little bit bigger. And you can tell that by what they take off the top with the percentages for payouts.
I agree with that.
It makes them money. And whereas Hobie, whenever they were doing the series, they never did it to make money because they paid back like 95% of it. Where Hobie saw a return was in the sale of Hobie Pro Anglers.
Mm-hmm.
That's where Hobie saw the return on their investment for having the BOS was the sale of boats. But, and this is all across the industry, the sale of new boats is down, like all across.
Well, and
the economy is just not supportive of them.
And that's where I think there's two things going on. I think one, Bass doesn't understand where if you promote kayaking, even if it's a money grab, you're also promoting a different style, format, culture, then that's against yours. So is that going to backfire? Could it? Because how many college kids that are kayak anglers that will get good, that'll be like you or Christine, will actually convert to $100,000 bass boat versus being like, I'm just going to be a kayak guy. There's that. But then also you have these big plastic boats. What Wilderness came out with, this light skiff that I found at 2 a.m. Bitch, that's a plastic boat. That is not a kayak looking thing. But I guess if you fudge it, it's a kayak, and yeah, make those.
Well, I mean, Wilderness. So Wilderness is not the only company that's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Bonafide came out with one as well. Native has their giant version of a small, bass boat. Hell, I mean, the Native Titan 13 was even shaped like a bass boat.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're all doing it. And Hobie had the Pro Angler. The Pro Angler 14 is basically a bass boat. It's just a bass boat that it's designed to be pedaled by foot. Like, so I mean, they're all coming out with boats, and they're all basically pricing themselves right around the same area. And it's still moderately affordable, but for the entry level person coming in, it's not affordable to go buy a $6,500 boat or a $5,500 boat. But they can find one used, and they can get into it pretty, decently with used.
But I guess stuff is relative too.
I'll say this, and and this is my opinion. This is not an organizational opinion, but this is my opinion. My opinion is of what Bass is doing with the individual state bass nations, I think is incredibly wrong. The way that they're organizing these state bass nations, they are specifically in a way, they're specifically targeting the grassroots clubs. They're making it where they're inserting another agency, another organization into the scheme of things.
Yeah.
Like, say, for instance, here, right? Let's just take this region. You have the major kayak organizations are Kayak Anglers of Pennsylvania, which there's like 6 different chapters, and then I think they have one in Ohio and New York. So they're the largest, right? They have the largest membership base as Kayak Anglers. They're the largest. So they basically dominate Pennsylvania and points north. And then you have the Mid-Atlantic Kayak Bass Fishing Organization, which has, that we dabble in Pennsylvania.
I've heard of them.
In Jersey and Delaware. And yeah, you have. You're a big supporter. We appreciate you. The organization appreciates you. So you have that organization, and then you have another organization a little bit further south, the Northern Virginia Kayak Bass Anglers, I think, or is it Kayak Bass Association?
Yeah.
It's NVKBA.
Yeah, acronym.
So you have those three major players, right? And then what the Bass Nations is doing is they're inserting their own clubs, and they're saying that, okay, we're going to have our own club. PA Bass Nation now has a club. Maryland Bass Nation has a club that's separated, I think, into like 2 chapters. Delaware Bass Nation has a club. Virginia Bass Nation has a club. So now you're basically making people forcing them to make a choice. And you know, at MAKBF or NVKBA or even kayak anglers, I don't think any of us see it as a threat. But geez, like it you know, the writing's on the wall. Like, what are you trying to do? Like, why are you know, now we have another scheduling dilemma, right? We have another organization to now compete with and have to organize around, because if you're all going to play nice and play in the same sandbox, you can't all, you know, schedule on top of each other, because the sandbox is going to get too full.
Mm-hmm.
So it's awkward. It's weird. I wish that they would do things similar to how the bass boat world does it, and say, okay, well, you know, if you're going to be a Bass Nation club, right, and we're going to have one, you know, say we're going to have one Bass Nation tournament in the state, and whoever the winner of that is from that state goes to fish a regional, and then from the regional, maybe they go on to fish an even small, like a larger regional, and then they get the opportunity to go fish the Bassmaster Classic, or in this case, the Kayak Classic. I think that would be more realistic. But I mean, hell, I think there's some states that are getting to send like 5 people to the Kayak Classic, and I'm like, what did they do to get there? Did they go somewhere on the national stage and place in the top 5? Did they go to enough Bassmaster class, you know, Bassmaster national events to finish high enough in points? Because if they didn't, earning your way there from the states is just kind of, to me, I just don't agree with it.
Yeah, but I think the whole, I mean, I'm more pessimistic than anyone, so I try to keep half those thoughts just between me and my therapist. Paul has an interesting question. What will be the limit when it comes to kayak tournaments? Will these new kayaks, I guess the bigger ones, ever divide the community like FFS did in the boat world?
I mean, I don't know.
We're going to plastic boats.
You know,
personally, it's going to be motor restriction. You know, once they're saying like, you know, the Torpedo has a 6.6 Merc kind of thing, like it's going to be motor restriction, because they're going to keep.
They already have motor restrictions on it, Thomas. It's already a 3 horsepower motor.
Well, that's my point. It's like that's what's going to be the cap, because the boats are going to get bigger, and unless there's a length or something like that, like they're going to become little bass boats. It's going that way. It's just who's going to be the first one to make a 15-foot alleged kayak.
So I think a couple years ago, I think there was an organization a couple years ago that had a rule where it couldn't be over like 16 feet in length. Couldn't be, was it 16 or 14? I don't know. There was an organization a couple years ago that had, you know, a length requirement and a maximum length. And then there was also, I mean, they've always had, and it's funny, like, so a couple of years ago, they had a rule where it couldn't be over like a 1 horsepower motor. And then companies started coming out with a 3 horsepower motor. And next thing you know, the limit was now a 3 horsepower motor. So that's another factor to consider. You know, as companies keep coming out with things, you know, are they going to continue to change the standard? And that really is going to come back to a safety perspective, and saying, okay, what is your hull capable of, right? What is too much? What is too much for the boat that you're in? And I really believe anything beyond a 3 horsepower, you know, you're kind of getting to a point where it's like, that really shouldn't be on a kayak.
Again, and I guess my thing is, when is it going to stop being a kayak and it's just going to be little plastic boat tournaments? Because if you're a company, man, you can make so much more money selling these, I think, than you can a big Puma. Why else would Yamaha buy it? They know where the money's made. And if boat sales, like you said, keep going down, all you have to do is make the mold, and you can pump these bitches out. You put Jake's name on the side of this thing, that's $5,000 right there for this thing. So I hope it's not true, but, and again, I get what you mean. Like, it's expensive, But if I was a college kid or starting a family, $3,000 is a lot easier, $5,000 than $70,000. Like, Paul dropped for his boat. So
No doubt.
yeah, but it's still, you're right though. It's still expensive. But there's a reason kayaking in our area kicks off so much. Cause unless you have the land or a garage to put a 22-foot boat, dude, it's like, it just makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I think our area is also really primed for accessibility with kayaks as well. With the rivers that we have, and even the tidal waters. There's some backwater areas in the tidal areas that you can drop a kayak in and be right on some juice. That if you were in a boat, you would have to maybe run 20 miles to get to. And that's kind of a nice aspect to have that as well. And like I said, all of our rivers. I mean, whether it be the Shenandoah or the James or the Rappahannock or the freaking Potomac or the Susquehanna or the Juniata, not Julietta, Juniata, any of those rivers, like they're so accessible by kayak that, it's almost even a boat owner, like, what, maybe I want to have a kayak for the summer whenever the accessibility gets tough. Like having that kayak makes it really nice to get on the water whenever maybe other people can't.
I know, dude. I 100% agree, and it's just, and I'm fine with it. I think it's okay. It's just the evolution of it, and you're gonna have purist trails that'll show up that don't want forward facing center and all this other crap. But I think also comes down to schedulers. Like, you can't put I guess you could put a PA 14 because people did it on the Susky. Probably not the best thing, but you just make a schedule and you can fish to your strengths and the way you want to fish. I am pessimistic about what Bass's intentions are because I don't trust any of them. I don't know. We'll see what happens, I guess.
So I'll say this in closing about Bass. I trust Steve Owens explicitly. I don't think Steve would ever lie to the masses of kayak anglers. I do not trust the organization that is Bassmaster. I just don't. I trust Steve-O, but I don't trust the organization.
And that's just, and because I know get ahead of this in the comment section. It's just, do you trust a corporation or a person in the corporation? Like, I think, I think that's where it comes down to. You never trust a freaking business. Never. They will, So I'll leave it at that. No, dude, glad you made it home safe. And what do you guys got coming up?
For me, I'm probably going to flip on the bidet and then probably go sit on the couch.
That's nice. Congratulations on that cool little podcast interview. That was really sweet of you to go on them.
No, oh gosh, are you asking about MAKBF?
Oh, that too. Yeah. But also, it's going to pip out your podcast interview.
Okay, so,
have people go see that.
Well, I did an interview with the Catch podcast. That's a lot of fun. Those guys, Brad and Matt, they're great. But MAKBF is going to be their first tournament April 5th on the Conowingo. That should be an absolute banger of an event. I think last year it took 98 inches, I think, to win that. Mickey Force won that with two really big smallmouth. I think there was like a 21.5-inch smallmouth caught there. And they should be pre-spawn, 100% pre-spawn when we hit it April 5th. So that should be a really fun event. Shortly after that, I know we dive into the Upper Chesapeake Bay and, some other events as well down in the Potomac and Delaware and so on. So before we get into the river swing in the summertime. So, we got some good things coming up there. For me personally, unrelated to MAKBF, I have, which I think we're going to talk about at some point or another, but March 1st is the rollout of my endeavor, my part-time endeavor of being a fishing guide here on the Susquehanna and Juniata.
I thought that was going somewhere else. Okay,
so
cool.
So March 1st is when that's going to start up. I have trips available. If anyone wants to reach out to me, they can find me on the social medias and send me a message, or they can go to the website, chocolatetownriverguide.com. So
is this real?
But yeah, that's what I got going on. What's that?
Is that real? Chocolate? Wait.
chocolatetownriverguide.com.
Hold on. Is this website up?
I live in Hershey. I live in Hershey, Thomas.
Okay,
It's not what you're thinking.
I know, but we've talked about things offline, and that's a real interesting parallel for a username. All right. Okay. Is this on your jet boat, kayak? What are you going to be guiding with?
Jet. It's going to be on the jet boat.
Okay, cool.
It's going to be on the jet boat. I tried to do the guiding out of a kayak, and I just don't have the. I don't have the patience to teach somebody out of a kayak. It's a lot harder to do out of a kayak than it is out of a boat.
Oh, dude, good for you. That's awesome. So yeah, guys, once he gets that going on there and he gets them, we'll send his website stuff. We'll start pimping him out there for his guide service. That's really cool, dude. Congratulations.
Thanks, Thomas. I appreciate you, buddy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, we'll have another river guide that we can be promoting up there on the mighty Susquehanna. Let's see. We've got Edwin says, who's down to go kayak fishing with this guy? It's like, yeah, no, he's good. He will, while you're kayaking, he will belittle you when you do bad. So it's a very interesting, like, Helsinki syndrome. So you'll go like it. But yeah, we'll drop that stuff to promote him. Go check out Jake Harshman and Mid-Atlantic Kayak. They have a really good organization, really, really good payouts, and some really cool bodies of water. So, Jake, thank you so much, sir, for hopping on and giving us some insight. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Thomas. We'll talk to you later, bud.
Talk to you later, bud. All right, there you guys have it. So I'm going to get to all your chats real quick. I also want to mention this because I finally found this bitch in the rabbit hole I was going down, and I just lost it. Hold on. Because I found the kayak stats. And did I lose it? It's not this one. Is it this one? Here it is. So that skiff, this skiff right here that has a motor on it, this one right here, you see that motor? You see all that? I just want to make sure. Does everyone see that? Cool. So, let's see. This boat is a durable, like a kayak, can go on plane like a regular boat, and has an aluminum transom that is capable of officially handling a 6 horsepower outboard. All the while, the light skiff stays compact and portable. It comes in at just 12 feet 8 inches long with a beam of 42 inches and a weight of 175 pounds. So it's smaller than some of the big time kayaks. And these people must be photoshopped or they're dwarfs, but because I can't believe you could put 2 people on that thing with an outboard. And I guess this opens up. Holy shit, this opens up too. That's pretty dope. My only thing is, if you guys have met me in person, I'm about 6'1", and I got some wide ass shoulders. If I throw a trolling motor on this bitch, I will be in the water like this. I would be in the water real quick. I don't know if I'm interested. Mike, Jake, if you're still listening, can I actually fish this in a tournament? This might be my big water rig. We got to, and B Cow says need to share it. B, I mean, I just don't know if he could stand here. I'll drop this in chat. Tiny Boat Nation. Actually, let me draw. Here we go. What is it? Jake, I don't know what it is. Here, I'm gonna drop it in chat. It is called the Light Skiff. It's called the Light Skiff. It's a kayak John boat hybrid. It is right here. Let me flip it up. Sorry, wrong one. This is a kayak hybrid. It is 12 foot, 8 inches long. It has a 42-inch beam. It weighs 175 pounds. It has a front thing here so you can actually stand on the deck with a trolling motor. All of this storage. Here are the stats on it. I just dropped the link in chat, so if you guys want to copy paste that link. It has a metal transom so you can attach a motor. I mean, this thing is borderline a boat is just all I'm saying here. It's not likely legal in our series. Okay, so but it's probably legal in Chad's series if he pays them down there. So it might be for KBF. You never know. It's not legal for our series. Yeah, that makes sense. Plus, you would not want that on the Susquehanna, this bitch. But the fact that you can either these 2 people are severely stunted in growth and are only 3 feet tall, because there's no way these 2 guys can fit on that boat easily. But all I'm saying is, like, with these boats getting like this, could you imagine just if you made this boat about 2 feet bigger to where it's like a 15-foot boat? I would buy something like that for pond hopping. That'd be really cool. I don't know. Right now, though, I have such a wish list. It's like getting a truck that has heat and air. conditioning would be great. Getting a inflatable kayak from Innovative Sportsman, that's on my list, and fixing up my bass boat. And going out with I think he called himself the Chocolate Waterfall Guide. I just want him to call himself, he should have just named his guide service Willy Wonka. My God, that would have been perfect. The marketing on that would have been amazing, especially if it was the, which one, the Johnny Depp and Willy Wonka? That one would give me nightmares. That was an ayahuasca journey. So anyway, let's get to all the chats here. Again, guys, huge shout out. Tomorrow night, I am doing a bonus live stream for the week. We're going to be talking about some other things, including a little rod sponsorship deal that we're doing. I'm going to be doing a live stream with a QR code for that. And I'm also going to be dropping a Patreon code for that. These a really brand new rod company, really cool rods. So it's going to be a short interview I did with the man, including a Patreon gift card code that go out there for 20% off the rods if you'd like to. They're a little bit more expensive rods, but it's 20% off. So that's a really good deal for Patreon supporters. And then I'm also having a 10% discount just for every mere peasant as well. And then we got Nerdy Bassin. That Innovative Sportsman Osprey looks awesome. They are by far the best kayak. I know I'm really bad at this, that I promote everyone, even though I don't get paid by them, but they are a really good kayak. I shoot straight with everybody. You know it. It's a really cool kayak. It's on my wish list someday. Problem with being married is you can't just buy everything. Legal aspect of the name. I 100% agree with you there, boss. All right, let's get to the chats. Let's get back up here on the chat list. We got kayak tournament organizations are starting to lean towards competitors to video record with a GoPro. I 100% agree with that. We talked about that with Paul. I think that's a great idea. We just got to make sure that gets dialed in. But it's a technology thing, and technology is on its way. That is why KAS has GoPro as a sponsor. And I agree. Like, I think the idea of an action cam to do it is great. GoPro is the worst camera on the planet. They always die. DJI, believe it or not, even though they're made by China, they're really good. They work. Go figure. Let's see. We've got bucktail fishing. They aren't going to a constant video with a GoPro after you take a fish pic. Okay, cool. We already answered that one. Trying to get to all the ones. Here we go. Chad Hoover has been saying this will be coming down the pipe in KBF for a couple years now. The video release is primarily for spot checking and to help settle challenges against fishing. I 100% agree with that. We got that question there. Here we go. Gene Jensen was the first person I saw to run Starlink. He live streams his fishing. Yeah, I talked to Fluke Master. If you guys don't know, I am also co-host of another podcast, the Basscast Radio, with Bass Geek and Brian from basscast.com. I basically live in this basement and I don't get to fish anymore, just pumping out content for you guys, but I got to actually talk to Fluke Master, Gene. And yeah, Starlink, it works. It's really cool. That's something I'm going to be getting. Maybe the kayak needs to be like boats with a polygraph. I've heard, Jake has used a polygraph before. I've heard rumors like it does work sometimes and it doesn't. I don't know. I've never had to be maced or polygraphed. So maybe. Let's see. Some tournament directors did do that. It's crazy, but I can understand not wanting to share the exact location. I understand that, but it's like, I mean, you know, Bruce, I mean, you know this because you fish my tournaments and you win all the time. It's something where it's good to have that because it protects you. You know, people were upset with you just winning all the time. And, you know, I'm able to back up like, no, he's doing everything legit. I mean, it's a good little safety. We got Travis Myers in the house. Travis, good evening, Thomas. Hey, good evening, Travis. I need to have you back on the show, boss. Please let me know your schedule so I can get you back on so we can talk about river fishing. I'm also excited that Mid-Atlantic is coming into my backyard, the Upper Potomac. I would love to kick Jake's ass and everyone's ass on the Potomac. I did catch that 22-inch stud there last year, and I should have won that bitch if I knew how to do things correctly. Oh, well. We live, we learn, we cry, we drink. You know, that's how that works. Forward-facing sonar is just as much of a hot button issue in kayak world as boats. You're not joking. Forward-facing sonar is big everywhere as it comes to just bitching. That's just how it is. Let's see. Interesting guess. It just isn't as vocal in the mainstream. Yep, Paul. I'm just as surprised these new kayaks are causing such a fuss when bigger rigs like the PA-14 were around well before the likes of the XTR. They aren't the only ones either. I guess it's the definition of what is a kayak. Technically, it's being paddled. I mean, Jake even mentioned the 3 horsepower limit. I guess my point of like saying the motor restriction is it's no longer about being powered. It's no longer about being I was always told the biggest thing is like, is it something you can actually pedal or paddle? That is considered a kayak. I think that rule will be almost antiquated at some point, where it's going to be like, no, as long as it's within the motor restriction, it's technically a kayak. So then it's about speed and blah, blah, blah. Like, do you really want to have an 18-foot kayak? But then is it going to be called a kayak tournament in 10 years? Or is it just going to be called a plastic boat tournament? That, you see what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a cynical son of a bitch. River tournaments do exist. Just saying. No, river tournaments do exist, and I've talked to Jake Harshman, aka Willy Wonka, the chocolate guide, and we talked about this before. About there needs to be a legit river tournament series. Who's the best river at? Who is literally the best? You start down south, like the New River, the Upper James, Shenandoah. Then you can go from Shenandoah, you go to the Upper Potomac. That's from Great Falls all the way up to Paw Paw. Then you have the Susquehanna. You have the Julietta. You can go up into New York if you want to. I said that right. Julietta? No, Juniata. God damn it. I messed myself up trying to say it right. It should have stayed size, limit trolling motor. Yeah. They need to limit it somehow. I agree with that sentiment. What is the limit so you don't become like the bass boat industry where you have 50-foot graphs? That's my comment. We don't need that one. Now we can scroll down here to the new comments. Now we got all those done. Fantastic. Okay. My boat's name is Coco Squirter. Okay, cool. He has a very unique class of people he's taking out on his boat. So if you like Diddy's music, you're going to want to go out on this man's boat. That Innovative Sportsman looks awesome. Absolutely. Now we're down to the new questions. If anyone wants to test the Osprey, let me know. He will take you out on his Osprey, which is also called Diddy's House, by the way. It's also called that. DJI is the best, hands down. I 100% agree with you there. Nate Hall, my man. You can win a lot of money in kayak tournaments by just paddling. Don't be fooled into thinking you need to spend a lot of money on a motor. You also have to be in good shape. Nate's also built like a brick shit house, so of course he's going to say that. I mean, I've seen him paddle so fast he gets on pad. So just keep in mind, you can do it, but you also need to be, in a little shape. I mean, I was in the Potomac tournament last year, and I worked out way too much that week. I'm going to say that, not that I'm fat and out of shape. And I pedaled across, I think it was like Pohick. And I got there, and I felt like I'm going to have a heart attack. And my calves were cramping. I had a groin cramp. I didn't even know you could do that. So now I'm spread eagle on this kayak trying to stretch without drowning. So yeah, you can paddle or pedal, but you do need to be in shape depending on how far you're going to go. Oh, we got Nerdy Bass. Yep, that Osmo 4 works all day and never shuts down, even in 100-degree weather. Yes, yep. Josh, that's the camera I'm going to be getting this year. There's already polygraphs in kayak fishing. Yep, there is. Travis says, sounds good, sir. I've got plenty of industry updates. Awesome, boss. I'd love to hear about what's going on with you. I've been maced. Wait, did Jake mace you? Wait, I've been maced. If a polygraph is as effective as mace, it's 100% accurate. Oh my God. I heard mace is not effective, or is that just all the horrific videos that I've seen on TikTok that says it's not effective? I was the first person on a tournament scene in kayaks to put live scope on it. Oh my God, I didn't know that. I love that hat, dude. That hat is bitchin'. Yeah, if you guys don't know, Jake was a big deal. Jake was a big deal back in the day. Mickey P, you were the first to take it off too. Damn, shots fired by Mickey. And with FFS, you can find and fish that don't guarantee you. Yeah, God damn, I can speak English. With forward-facing sonar, you can find the fish that don't guarantee you can catch them 100%. You guys know where I am on the forward-facing sonar debate. I think it's kind of, when it comes just from like the fishing side of things, not the conservation side, I think it's kind of silly. Plus, if they want to know where I am fishing, they just need to look at social media. This is also true. Why is Juniata so hard? This brain I have had, believe it or not, if you guys don't know, I have had 9 concussions in my life. 9 concussions. I have so much CTE, it's amazing I never killed my girlfriend or broke my back. Now, that is not a racist joke, by the way. But yeah, I've had a lot of concussions in my life. Baseball, riding horses. I had a horse flip on top of me and break my spine. I had a horse throw me into a 3-board fence, the post. I broke the post and it actually stopped my heart for a second. it bruised my chest, and I felt like my heart hit my rib cage. It hit me so hard. That gave me whiplash, knocked me out. I fell here and almost cracked a vertebrae here. The fact that I'm not talking like Mike Tyson right now, Matthew, is impressive. Okay, this is probably why I can also sit up here and talk like an idiot, is because I just don't have that switch in the brain anymore that works. What's with you and randomly adding L's into names? I told you, I'm like Mike Tyson. I just have this weird lisp when I start talking and the brain gets tired. It's just, I don't know. I can talk and I won't add L's. But if I read, I add L's, and I don't know if it's a Spanish thing or it's just a dyslexic or a retard thing. Probably it's the tism. I'm going to say it's the tism. Nate Hall, I agree. I like how you guys agree with my tisms. I helped him get spread eagle. Yes, he did, and that is why they call you Willy Wonka. And you can go see his chocolate factory here in March too. Travis Meyer, the Osprey and the Poly sound too much like my day job. Think I'll pass on the river. 9 concussions explains the hair. It does explain the hair. It really does. Spinal. Yeah. Spinal. Chill, not the Mike Tyson joke. Yeah. I will go there with the jokes. I'm almost up to all the chats. We never had concussions. We just got knocked silly. I'm pretty silly. I am pretty silly there. All right, cool. We actually did it. We actually got up to date on all the things. All right, cool. Sweet. All right, cool. So, yep. So as you guys know, we had the Augusta County show, which is really cool. We are going to be talking to some guy about the saltwater stuff. I think that's going to drop in mid-February. I also have the OG guy that started the Fountainhead Tournament Trail. That is going to be dropping the first week of March. We have a fishing report on the Upper James that's going to be dropping in March. The Tidal Potomac River that's going to be dropping in March. The Smith Mountain Lake is going to be dropping in March. A guy won over $10,000 on Bugs Island in a catfish derby. That's dropping here in late February. And also, I got to interview the guy that caught the biggest crappie to ever be put in an aquarium in a Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop on the East Coast. It's a very random story, but what I like about my channels, I'll find some weird shit like that. And we're gonna have a conversation. So the crappie that this guy caught is available at Gainesville at that Cabela's in the aquarium. You can go check it out. So we're gonna be talking about crappie fishing. That's gonna be coming up here too. I have pre-recorded about, I think 12 episodes, and I still have 2, one with Coleman that I recorded in October that I forgot to drop. And I have one with this guy called, well, I don't want to spoil that name, but I have a really, really cool kayak episode that's going to be dropping here in about 2 weeks. I think I'm going to be dropping that. I sat on that one with Jody a long time because I wanted to get it to the kayak season and not just drop it in the middle of winter. That's kind of my thought there. And then I'm going to be trying to get on the guy that just caught a 10 pounder on the James River. That's coming up. And then Lake Anna is just making headlines. I got to keep, I know some people are getting sick of the Lake Anna stuff, but it's like when it keeps dropping these absolute mega bags, and I'll just re-show what I posted online because it's stupid. We are living, ladies and gentlemen, in the fantasy world that is the good old timeline where you're catching absolute donks. Let me pull this right here. I do not want to do, where to go? There we go. There it is. Yeah, so that lost. I want this to set in right now. That lost the tournament. What Timmy caught. Understand how good this place is fishing when 26 pounds does not get you the win. 26 pounds gets you a freaking second place. Well, I didn't forget about you in the sense like you're still here. So like I didn't forget about you. You see what I'm saying there? That kind of works in my head when I try to square that round peg in the hole. I have the episode, and so I was going to have that as the NVKBA intro episode. James Coleman, by the way, guys, is a professional paintballer and a pool player. How cool is that? I love figuring out stuff about people. I think people are cool. I think conversations are cool. There's one person that I interviewed. He's a professional beekeeper. That's a thing. We're going to be talking about that. Another guy's a musician. And yeah, James Coleman, shoots people for a living with paintballs. should have really added that other part there. Sorry about that. I am getting extremely exhausted. I have been talking nonstop for 6 days. Come down and you can fish where I do. I do. Let's just get a couple more housekeeping things here done, and then I can just hit the road from like April until August. My goal is hopefully to be working part-time at my day job in 2026 so I can fish more. Let's see. Jay Carson says, getting dirty looks, gotta go. Love you, bye. I love you too, honey. And I think that's everything. Judy, huh? Yeah. Jody, yeah. You'll see. Carly says, I want to fish with Bruce. All right. Well, Carly wants to fish with Bruce. I thought Carly said that she is done with all the fishing stuff until next year because she's burnt out on talking to people. But anyway, absolutely monster fish that was caught here. So, guys, here's the boogie. This is what's going down. This is what's going to happen. Great Monday Night Live, as always. Went a little bit over what we do. Monday, I did have a guest lined up. I believe it's President's Day, but I got to check to see if he's still available because it is like a holiday. So let me double check to see if he is still available to come on the show. I will confirm that with you all here soon. If you guys want to know, there's going to be a live stream tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about some awesome rods, and we'll be giving a discount code. You're going to get 20% off if you're a Patreon supporter of the rods, and you're going to get a 10% discount just to all the mere peasants as well. That's going to be dropping tomorrow afternoon. As always, this is going to be re-uploaded tomorrow morning, so you can listen to it on Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, and the old YouTube. Please go check out. You guys got some homework. I actually uploaded an educational episode of the show this morning, and it's with the river recovery folks, the mighty river recovery folks down at the St. Johns River. Please go check that out. It is extremely informative. We need something like this up here to fight the SAV killing that's going on. Really informative episode. Go check that episode out with those guys. Stephen Lloyd. Stephen, yeah, I want to fish with you too, buddy. Don't worry. I want to fish with you too. And then Bruce, come down. Yep, we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. Anyway, guys, go check out that episode. If there's anything that, and we got Stephen said that was a cool episode. Thank you, boss. Yeah, very informative. I'm trying to get those bounced out. And then, the last housekeeping thing. We have, as you guys, I've been teasing forever. I am doing all the biologist reports for Virginia, every region. I've been recording them since October. They're about ready to come out. I need the go-ahead from the DWR, and if they agree with it, I can start dropping them in March. And I'm hoping they're okay with doing 2 a month. There's a lot of reports to get through, but I will be dropping them early for Patreon members. They'll be on Patreon early, so that way you guys can have them, but they'll be debuting to the rest of the public probably at 2 a month, if that's what we kind of agree with, because there's so many to get through. Really cool places. The North Holston River. Probably you guys haven't heard about it. I got the deets on that place. The Shenandoah with Hallecker, Odenkirk. It's really cool. That'll be dropping here, so stay tuned. Paul says, you could be fishing at Lake Anna next week. I really want to. I think you guys are doing like February 22nd. Oh, February 22nd. Fishing Pro Tech down in, I think it's Williamsburg, Virginia. I think. I'm just shooting from the hip there. Just type in Fishing Pro Tech. That's February 22nd. The next weekend, I think I'm in Berkeley Springs, and the weekend after that, we're doing the kayak fishing show. Then there's no more shows, and then I can just fish and actually have a good time. And hopefully I have a boat and a truck by then. So go check them all out. I'm going to stop talking. Friday night is Bass and Beer Radio. Go check them out, and I will see you guys next time on Fishing the DMV. And bye.
You're listening to Fishing the DMV with your hosts, Thomas Ahrens and Jared Mounts. Fishing the DMV is brought to you by Jake's Bait and Tackle, located in Winchester, Virginia.
If that doesn't get you jacked.
Hey guys, quick little announcement for Fishing the DMV. Our Weekend Warrior membership group on Patreon is nearly full. There are only 22 spots still available. Once these spots are gone, they're gone, and I'll be closing the club to any new members until 2026. At that point, you can try to join again, but it'll be at a higher rate. So get your rates locked in now, and you'll gain access to our 5 fishing tournaments each year for Patreon members only, 5% off your orders to Jake's Bait and Tackle, 10% off your order to Tiger Crankbaits, 10% off your orders to Catoctin Creek rods. You'll gain access to our private Facebook group community, loads of members only content, and of course, ad-free, commercial-free episodes of the show. You get all this for $6 a month, which is less than a pack of Cincos or a Jackhammer Chatterbait. Lock in these rates now because in 2026, I'm going to be increasing the rate to new members. And again, I'll give you throw in an extra one here. I'll give you 8% off if you buy the membership for the year. So that'll be $66 for all of this value. There are only a few spots left, so hurry up and check out the link in the episode description